Hey everybody, Brian here with TrailGrid Pro. Wanted to give you guys a quick update video on one of our most popular products over the last few months. If you guys have been following along or you've already ordered one of our Alpine 4-channel amplifier and powered subwoofer kits, you know that this has been a great improvement for either your 4Runner, Tacoma, or Tundra. We've had a couple of emails and calls with customers over the last few months that have previously purchased this, and we wanted to address some of the things that we've changed since the original installation videos were released a few months back. In today's video, we're going to cover a couple of the setup things that we changed to make this experience even better for your Toyota. One of the first issues that we kind of ran into when we started shipping these products is we had the 4Runner and the Tundra kits were completely assembled with the mounting brackets and the amplifier attached to the subwoofer. Unfortunately, our mail carriers didn't always care about the products as much as we do, so there was some damage that occurred during shipping. To address this issue, we've since made a change that we are no longer shipping these as completed assembled units. We do ship them with the brackets in their own box. The subwoofer is tucked away in its own box, and the amplifier is in its own box. Our installation guide and our packing material has been updated with the steps that you will need to take before you install the amplifier and subwoofer portion, like I show it in the video. But we also wanted to do a quick video on how that process looks so that you can use this as a reference before you start your install. So now we've included the screws. They are in labeled baggies, so you'll have one set of screws for your amplifier. That's going to mount your amplifier to the brackets, and then there's another set of screws in a baggie labeled bracket mounting screws. These we're going to use to actually mount the brackets to the subwoofer. So I want to go over that process with you very quickly. All you need is a Phillips head screwdriver. Again, you can use power or manual. Doesn't really matter, it's just kind of whatever you have laying around. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove your items from their packaging. You can see here we have our 8-inch powered subwoofer. The subwoofer is going to be oriented downwards, so this is a down-firing subwoofer. So we're going to place it with the Alpine label, and then you can also see the control surface. We're going to place that towards us. This is going to represent the back of the seat. Next thing we want to do is we're going to take our amplifier. It's already going to have the appropriate brackets mounted onto it by our production team for you. Another change that we've made is the dip switches on the amplifier. If we peel back the rubber cover, we can see the dip switch settings in there. Actually is oriented like this. Our team has already set these for you depending on whether you answered if you were doing this with an aftermarket or a factory head unit. So that is already set for you. Obviously feel free to double check our work, but we're going to put the rubber cover back into place. We're going to grab our left bracket. Now I said this portion is representing towards the back seat. This is representing towards the front. So our left is going to be towards the left side of the vehicle, the driver's side of the vehicle. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to take our bracket, we're going to flip it upside down. We're going to take our amplifier. You can see that there are connections on both ends. Again, you have a control surface side that has the gains. We are also going to orient that so that it is towards the back. We want all of our control functions towards the back seat so that they're easily accessible. And then you'll notice that when we place our amp on the left bracket, that the holes line up perfectly. So to mount that, we're going to grab our little baggie named amplifier mounting screws. These are going to have some short screws. So we're going to grab those. And you can see, again, Phillips head, they already have a washer on them. And we're just going to use our screwdriver. And what I do is I get them started so that we make sure all the brackets are lined up, and then we can tighten them up. We have our amplifier mounted to our left bracket. We are now going to take it and flip it over, and you will see that the tabs in the bracket will line up with these indentations on the subwoofer. So we're going to place our left bracket there to the left side. Now we can grab our right bracket, and we're going to line that up on the right side. For reference, this is the 4Runner kit, but the Tundra kit is exactly the same. Now we're going to grab our baggie labeled bracket mounting screws. In here you will have, again, Phillips head screws. You will also have split washers and flat washers. First thing we're going to do is grab one of our Phillips head screws. We're going to grab a split washer and place that on, and then a flat washer. And then we're going to repeat that same process for all 8 of these screws. All right, now that we have our hardware prepared, I'm going to go ahead and start these by hand. So sometimes it's easier to lift the subwoofer up. That'll get our brackets lined up. We can get each one of these started by hand, and then we will tighten them up. We're going to repeat the same process on the left bracket. All right, there we are. Now we have our amplifier and our brackets mounted to our subwoofer. This will now coincide with how it is shown in the installation video as far as assembling your subwoofer. One of the next topics that I want to cover is one of our recommendations. We talked about it a little bit in the Tacoma video, but after we did some more extensive testing of these products in all of the vehicles, we actually found, doesn't matter whether you're using a factory or an aftermarket head unit setup, in most cases, we found that you get more bass response by connecting the red and white RCAs. So now when you receive this product from us, this RCA adapter is already going to be connected to this end of the harness down here where it plugs into the subwoofer and the amplifier. So in this case, all you're going to do is you're going to take these RCAs and connect them directly into the subwoofer. Like I said, in most cases, we found that this gives you better bass response as the subwoofer inputs are actually being pulled from the front channels in this setup. In the spirit of improving this setup and making it even more plug and play than it was when we first released it, we needed a better solution for the remote turn-on wire. In some of the harnesses, the remote turn-on wire is built into the kit. In some years, it was not built into. We were providing you an extra length of wire to use a T-tap to grab a remote signal. We decided that wasn't the best solution long-term. Our R&D team here at Trailgrid Pro was hard at work and came up with this awesome solution that will work in any of your 2014 and newer Toyotas. This is a AM/FM antenna T-harness that's going to plug directly in line of your AM/FM adapter coming out of your truck and going into your head unit and provide you the remote signal that your amp and your sub need to turn on and work properly. We get a lot of emails and calls about, hey, I got my kit installed, my door speakers sound great, just my subwoofer doesn't seem to want to play. What we found is that in most cases, the remote wire either wasn't connected, which means the amplifier in the subwoofer didn't know that it was supposed to be turned on, or the switch here on the subwoofer for the power mode was also in the incorrect position. So right here, there is a button. It's labeled power mode. It has speaker level in or remote in. We want this button to be in the out position into the remote. That means that it is looking for the signal that is coming down our adapter. The remote turn on wire triggers, think of it like a light switch that lives inside of your amplifier. The amplifier in the subwoofer is getting power from your battery at all times. If we had no way of shutting it off internally. It would just drain your battery and your truck would be dead every morning. So what the remote wire does, the truck turns on, it sends signal from the head unit down the remote wire saying, hey, head unit's on, you also need to be turned on. Then the internal amplifier turns on and away we go. Now that we've talked about the function and purpose of the remote wire and the settings that we need down here at the subwoofer, let's talk about the connections specifically for the remote wire behind the head unit. So here I have our amplifier subwoofer harness. It has the T-harness on the end of it that is applicable for the 2010 to 2019 applications. You can see here that we have our speaker wires coming out of the head unit, going down to the amplifier. It returns back, comes up through our T-harness, and then goes out to your speakers. And it also has a remote wire already on the T-harness. So when you receive this, this will already be connected for you. I've now changed out the T-harness, the one here with the 2 black connectors. This is gonna fit your 2020 and newer applications. In this setup, you can see, again, we have our audio signal coming out of the head unit and going to the amplifier and then back to the factory speaker wiring. The difference here is we don't have anywhere to plug our remote wire into. This is where our new T-harness is gonna come into play. All you're gonna do is connect the bullet connectors, making sure that they're nice and snug. Now all you need to do is find your AM/FM antenna adapter. You're going to disconnect it from the radio. You're going to plug it into that end. The other end's going to go back into the radio or your aftermarket radio harness. That's it. This is now going to give you the remote input that you need for your amplifier and subwoofer. All right, now that we've talked about a few of the setup changes that we've done to make this kit better and easier to install, now I want to go over some of the frequently asked questions that we get about this kit after installation. The first question that we get is, does this work or will this work if later down the road I decide to change from my factory to my aftermarket head unit? The answer is simply absolutely yes. The great thing about this kit is it works with the factory. We also provide all of the attachments that you will need to either convert it from factory to aftermarket or aftermarket back to factory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you here on our harness. So we have our speaker level in. This is going to stay the same. You can see the other side of the harness. There's a white, black, and red. All we're going to do is disconnect half the harness. Now, if you ordered this for your factory head unit, you will also receive 3 sets of RCA adapters. Again, the connectors will have white, black, and red. These will be for front, rear, and sub. So all we're going to do is we're going to find our RCAs out of our extra parts bag, and then we're just going to match up the plugs. So we're going to plug the white one into the white one, the black into the black, and then the red into the red. Now that we have our RCAs connected, this will give you what you need to connect to your aftermarket radio. Second thing we want to talk about that comes up is sometimes the customer will call and say, hey, everything sounds great, it's just there's this, one of my speakers pops when I turn my truck on. Well, simply that is called speaker pop. The cause of speaker pop is the Class D amplifiers can sometimes hold a little bit of energy in the amplifier. When you stick your key in or when you push to start, that stored energy goes flying down the speaker wires, causing the speaker to pop on startup. After it starts playing, speakers sound great, they play as they normally do. It's just that retained energy that goes down the speaker wires to make the pop. This can be solved in a few different ways. One, if you have an aftermarket radio, such as our Sony or our Alpine plug-and-play head unit bundles, there's a setting in the menu of the head unit called Accessory During Crank. By disabling that, it will actually, just as it says, it will disable the accessory power, i.e. the remote turn-on impulse, for a moment in time so that the system can fully power up before the amplifiers turn up, and usually will eliminate the speaker pop. In some very rare cases, the condition continues, and then we can use something like a remote delay module. A remote delay module goes in line of the remote turn-on wire. It connects to power and ground from the radio, so you're powering the module. The remote signal will go in. You can set it to delay for any given amount of time, and then after that time, say 4 seconds, the remote signal goes back out, goes down to the amplifier. thus eliminating the speaker pop as well. If you experience any of those issues, please reach out to our sales and support team. They have all sorts of resources to help you through that and get that speaker pop eliminated. The third thing that we want to cover under the, I wouldn't say frequently asked questions, because it's only happened a handful of times, but I see this as a good time to bring it up. We've had a couple customers, maybe about 6 or 7 total, that after they had their entire amplifier and subwoofer kit installed, for whatever reason, the front left speakers just would not play. We have isolated this down to an impedance issue, which in that case, the solution that we have come up to fix the no sound from my front left speakers is actually to remove the RCAs from the subwoofer. To do that, all we're going to do is we're going to find the red and the white RCAs on the back of the subwoofer. We're going to disconnect them from the back of the sub. We're going to follow the harness back down to the red connector. We're going to remove the RCAs. And then we're going to plug the 2 red connectors on the harness back together. As I said a little bit earlier in this setup, the sub signal is being pulled from the front speakers. So in a very small, like I said, maybe 6 or 7 out of the several hundred of these that have been sold over the last few months, this has fixed that problem. All of the speakers play at their full potential, and the subwoofer, everything goes back to working as it should. The last point I want to cover in this video, and this is again a very rare situation. I've only had a couple reports of this across all of the kits that we've mailed out to 4Runner and Tundra owners. There's been some cases of a clearance issue with the mechanisms on the bottom of the front passenger seat. This clearance issue is not something that we have been able to replicate in shop, even after installing lots of these products in both 4Runners and Tundras with manual and power seats. In these cases, our recommendation is to consider a seat spacer that is going to either lift the front or the rear of the seat to create enough clearance so that the seat can still operate as it should over top of your new amplifier and subwoofer kit. All right, I hope you guys found the information in this video helpful about our Alpine 4-channel amp and subwoofer kit. Again, we've made a couple of changes to make this product even better and to arrive to you safer. Our customer satisfaction is always on top of our mind, whether it's how we pack the box, making it more plug and play, assisting you after or during your install. So if you guys have any more questions about this product or anything else that you think we should cover in a future update video, please send it to us in an email at support@trailgridpro.com. This will get you directly into the sales and support team. We will start cataloging all of your questions and come up with the next content. So until that video, as always, have a blast out there.